Hi, in this recording, we're going to look at the section 1.1 review of graphs. Okay, so for problem one, let's look at labeling the horizontal axis, vertical axis, and the center point 0, 0, and the quadrants in the coordinate plane. So here we see a coordinate plane, and the y-axis is what called the vertical axis, and then the x-axis is our horizontal axis. But most of the time, you'll hear me referring it to the y-axis and the horizontal axis. The y-axis, you see it's going up and down. Starting from 0, as we go up, we increase in the y values. And as we go down, you can see it decreases in the negative direction. Same is true for the x-axis. Starting from 0, as we increase to the right, you can see that it goes up along the positive values, and as we go to the left, it decreases for the negative x values. Okay, so that's the horizontal and vertical axes. The center point 0, 0 is located right in the middle. Let me do this blue pen 0, 0. And we have 4 quadrants. You can see that the vertical and the horizontal axis splits the coordinate plane into 4 sections. We call this upper right hand corner the first quadrant, and then we go counterclockwise and label the upper left the second quadrant, and then we have the third quadrant, and then we have the fourth quadrant. Forgot to note that we also call 0, 0 sometimes the origin. Okay, so we're done with 1. Let's look at number 2 and practice plotting the following ordered pairs on this coordinate plane. So if we look at point 2, 5, we read the order pairs as x value first and then the y value. So when our x value is 2, we go to the x value 2 and then go up all the way to the y value where the x equals 2 and y equals 5 values meet. So this is our 0.25. For -4, the x value is -4, the y value is 3, so we go to -4 on the x and go up. And so you can see it's where the x value is -4 and the y value is 3. So actually, let me just label this point B. See -6, -6, go towards the -6x value and then go down for the -6y value. So there's C. For D, 3, -1, we go to the right 3 and go down towards -1. Okay, that's a funny looking point. Let's do it again. So that is D. E4, 0. So here, 4 is our x value. Y value is 0, so we don't move up or down, right? We have to stay on the x-axis because that's where the y value is 0. So that's E. And then for 0, -5, the x value is 0, so we stay on the x value where it's 0, and then go down to 0, -5, so that's point F. If you're having trouble plotting points, I am expecting that you feel comfortable with this coming into our class, but if you have, trouble doing that, just, we can also work on it outside of class during tutoring sessions. Okay, let's practice these graphs and determining x and y intercepts. And so for graph A, we see a linear graph, a line, and the x-intercept is where your graph crosses the x-axis. And so you can see the line is crossing the x-axis right at that value, and it's crossing at 1, 0. So in your homework system, My Math Lab, you're only going to enter the value 1 because that's where it crosses the x-axis. For my exams, you're going to write the ordered pair, the point for the x-axis, so for 1, 0. So that's for on the tests. But in homework, just make sure you type in 1. The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis, so it's crossing the y-axis right there. And in my math lab, you're going to just type in 4. But what is that as a point? It's 0, comma 4. And so make sure you, for my exams, on my exams, you type in 0, 4. Okay, let's look at graph B. Here we have this shape that goes kind of sideways, opening up sideways. So you can see the x-intercept. Again, I'll do my math lab. You're only going to type in 4. But as an x-intercept, as an ordered pair, we write it as 4, 0. Though the y-intercept, you can see that the graph doesn't cross the y-axis. It doesn't even touch the y-axis. So there are none. There is no point at which the graph crosses the y-axis. Okay, going down to group C. This is a third degree polynomial, a cubic function, where the highest exponent is a third power, and we'll learn about those types of graphs later on in the semester. And so x-intercept, you can see that it crosses the x value right here, so at -2, which rewrite as an ordered pair, -2, 0. And it also has another x-intercept. It's, remember, the x-intercept is wherever the graph crosses or touches the x-axis. And that's also at, let's see, 2, 0. Again, in my math lab, just type the x values, but for me, you're going to type in the ordered pairs. The y-intercept, let's see where the graph crosses the y-axis. It's kind of hard to see on this graph. It's crossing at -8. And again, for me, you're going to write it as an ordered pair, 0, -8. Graph D, let's see. It has two x-intercepts at -1. So we write the ordered pair as -1, 0. And also this other point, which is 3. So we write it as 3, comma 0. And then the y-intercept, it crosses the y-axis at 9. And as an ordered pair, for my exams, you're going to write it as a 0.09. Okay, let's move on to number 4. The next thing I'm expecting you to be comfortable with is to graph equations using a table by finding ordered pairs. We are going to graph the equation y equals x squared minus 2 by finding 5 points of that equation. And we can do that, and then we'll connect it after we plot those points. And so we can do that by choosing x values. The x values are already completed in the table for us, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. And we find the corresponding y values that'll help us plot 5 ordered pairs or 5 points. Ordered pairs just means points, x, y. And so let's find the first y value that's associated with the x value -2. And we do that by plugging in the x value into the -2 for x. And so here we're going to plot in or substitute -2 squared minus 2. Notice how whenever you substitute values, we put parentheses around whatever we're substituting. And -2 squared means -2 times -2, which is a +4. And then that -2 is 2. So for x value -2, the associated y value is 2. So we can plot that at -2, 2. I'm going to repeat by plugging in -1 and doing -1 squared minus 2. -1 times -1 is +1 minus 2 is -1. So our second order pair is -1, -1. And then when we plug in 0, we have y equals 0 squared minus 2, which is 0 minus 2, and that's -2. So there's our third ordered pair. Forgot to write -2 here. So when we plug in 1 into the equation, y equals 1 squared minus 2, 1 times 1 is 1, minus 2 is -1. So our fourth point is 1, -1, which is right here. And then y equals 2 squared minus 2 is 2 times 2 is 4 minus 2, which is 2. And so we have 2, comma 2. So when you plot 5 points, we could plot more, but 5 points give you the general shape. And so here we have this U shape, which we're also going to later on learn about later on. This is a quadratic function. And quadratic functions have where the highest power or degree is 2, and it gives you a parabola shape. Okay, let's look at the next graph, 5. And we have the equation y equals 4x plus 3. And again, we're going to complete the table by doing y equals 4 and then substituting -2 in for x plus 3. Calculating that 4 times -2 is -8 plus 3, which is -5. So we have -2, -5, which is right here. So we have y equals 4, again, plugging in -1 plus 3. 4 times -1 is -4 plus 3, which is equal to -1. So we have -1, -1, which is right there. Plug in 0 into the equation, y equals 4 times 0 plus 3. And 4 times 0 is 0. So if we do 0 plus 3, that'll just give us 3. And 0, 3 is right there. We have y equals 4 times 1 plus 3, which is 4 plus 3, which gives us 7. So 1 comma 7 is right there. Our last point, y equals 2 times, oops, made a mistake. Supposed to do 4 and plug in 2, and then plus 3, and that's 8 plus 3, which is 11. So 2 comma 11, 2 comma 11. It's off the graph because 11 is right here. So 2 comma 11. And so the 5 points, you can see that just remember to connect the graph. And it's a little wiggly, but it's supposed to be a line. It's a line, a linear graph. And whenever it's in this form, y equals 4x plus 3, we're also going into linear functions. You're always going to get a line as your graph. Okay, and let's move on to number 6. 6 is y equals the absolute value of x minus 4. And so let's plug in all the x values into the absolute value equation. So we have y equals absolute value of -2 minus 4. Absolute value of -2, any number in the absolute value comes out as a positive. So it becomes 2 minus 4, which is -2. And so when x is -2, y is -2. Plug in -1, so we have the absolute value of -1 minus 4. Absolute value of -1 is +1. Remember, absolute values of any value makes it positive, so it's 1 minus 4, which is -3. So at -1, the y value is -3. So let's see where that is, -1, -3. Y equals the absolute value of 0 minus 4. I keep writing the wrong number. 0 minus 4 is 0 minus 4, which is -4. So at 0, y value is -4. Y equals absolute value of 1 minus 4. Absolute value of 1 is just 1. The positive values stay positive. So 1 minus 4 is -3. So 1, x value is 1, y value is -3. So there's our fourth point. Our last point, we do y equals absolute value of 2 minus 4, which is 2 minus 4, which is -2. So we have 2, -2. And so we have this V shape, and all absolute value functions are going to have this V-shaped graph. Okay, let's go to number 7. Y equals x to the third plus 1. And this is called a cubic function because we have the cube power, the third power. Let's plug this in. Y equals -2 to the third plus 1. So -2 to the third means you're multiplying -2 by itself 3 times, but that's -2 times -2 times -2. And that's going to be -8 because -2 times -2 is 4, and 4 times -2 is -8. So if we have -8 plus 1, that'll give us -7. So when x is -2, we go down to the y value, -7. Repeat, y equals -1 to the third plus 1. -1 times -1 times -1 is -1, plus 1 is 0. So -1, we get 0. Sorry, just got a sip of water there. So y equals 0 to the third plus 1, 0 to the any power is 0. So that's easy, right? 0 plus 1 is 0. So when x is 0, we have 1. We have y equals 1 to the third plus 1, and that's 1 plus 1, that's 2. So 1, comma, 2. And then last value, y equals 2 to the third plus 1 is 8 plus 1, which is 9. So 2, comma, 9 is right there. So we get a graph that kind of looks like this. And all cubic functions have that shape. We'll practice graphing those too in a few weeks. Okay, let's look at the last graph. We have y equals -8. So here we have x is equal to -2, but you see this is a little odd because I don't know where to plug that in. There is no x value in the equation. What that means is any x value you have, the output is -8 for y. Like y is -8 no matter what the x value is. So when x is -2, y is -8. When x is -1, y is -8. 0, y is -8. X is 1, -8. They're all -8 regardless of what the x value is. And so if we plot this, -2, -8, 1, -1, -8, 0, -8, 1, -8, 2, -8. And this is actually a horizontal line at through y equals -8. All graphs that are in the form y equals some value is going to be a horizontal line. Okay, I hope this helps. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and we can work on it together. Right, I hope you have a great rest of your day.